Hi there. Welcome. Come on in and get yourself nice and comfortable. And how are you today? Okay. Well, today we're going to do a personality test. What it involves is me asking you a series of questions and you giving me an answer on a scale of 1 to 5. What I'll do then is I'll go away, collate all the answers and come up with a number, and we'll see where you sit on this Enneagram here. How does that sound? Great. Well, get yourself very comfortable because there are 72 questions in total. I'll just pop them onto my clipboard here. And what I'll do is we'll go through them one at a time. But before you go today, I'll read out all of the 9 Enneagrams so you can start to get a rough idea of where you might sit. But until then, there's a lot of questions. Is that okay? Great. So when I give you a question, it's a statement about yourself, and you need to answer 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. So 1 does not describe you at all, and 5 is very like you. 3 is in the middle, 2 is not really like you, and 4 is quite a lot like you. Is that okay? I'll give you some prompts as we go along. Okay. If you need me to repeat any of these, just let me know. There are 1 or 2 statements which are quite lengthy, and when that happens, I'll repeat anyway, okay? Great. I've made it sound way more complicated than it is. So let's make a start. So the first statement is this. Feeling like I belong to and am loyal to an authority that I can trust means a lot to me. So on a scale of 1 to 5, 1, which isn't at all like you, and 5 is absolutely like you. Where do you sit with that statement? Great. And we're off. Next. I know how to easily please and seduce others, even if I am not particularly interested in them. So on that scale of 1 to 5 again. Thank you. I tend to adapt a lot to others to keep the peace and avoid conflicts. 1 to 5. I am gifted in presenting things in an acceptable and convincing way. Great. I am good at seeing and paying attention to the positive side of things, even in difficult situations. Sometimes I feel envy towards people who have what I don't have. I often sacrifice my own needs to help others. I need to be the leader of the team to feel comfortable. I detach myself from my emotions so as to avoid emotional overdrive. I am quieter than most people, and they often ask me what I'm thinking about. I often embody the image of success for others, and that motivates me. I tend to help someone other than myself a lot, and it motivates me when my contributions are appreciated. I'll read that one again. I tend to help someone other than myself a lot, and it motivates me when my contributions are appreciated. Next one's a long one, I'll read that twice. It can be difficult for me to make myself heard and to defend my own ideas when they might go against what others think, for the main reason that I prefer to avoid conflicts and confrontations. It can be difficult for me to make myself heard and to defend my own ideas when they might go against what others think, for the main reason that I prefer to avoid conflicts and confrontations. 1 to 5. Thank you. I like to have lots of possibilities or several nice things planned to do, and it can make me feel bored when I have only one thing to do or only one available option. I'm tenacious against negative emotions, and I don't hesitate to confront others to bring out truths. I have a very anxious nature, and I often look for ways to ensure my safety so that I can feel protected. I take on challenges by being extremely adaptable and adapt my behaviour to meet expectations and to succeed. I have a sort of internal critic that constantly oversees my thoughts and actions to ensure that what I do is in line with my moral principles. Thank you. That's the first page done. Have a quick breather. How was that? Okay. Fantastic. There are 4 pages in total. Are you okay to carry on? Fantastic. So, again, on that scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being not at all like you, and 5 being very like you. The feeling of injustice pushes me to conflict, and I can quickly turn to excess. I love and feel much more comfortable giving in whatever form than receiving. I tend to detect the imperfections around me and think about how I could improve them. I am very cautious, and I am constantly aware of things that could go wrong. I appreciate being admired by others for my success. I am very good at listening to what others have to say and often have a lot of patience with them. 1 to 5. I invest a lot of time and effort into correcting my mistakes, whatever they are. I much prefer things to be planned rather than improvising. I need to have the opinion of my loved ones or an authority I can trust when I need to make a new decision. I often feel the need to have control over my environment. My desire to have fun with new experiences is very frequent and quite easily outweighs most of my other emotions. I tend to avoid things that are too common and to be attracted to many things that may seem strange to most people. I tend to avoid things that are too common and be attracted to many things that may seem strange to most people. Like that. I can enjoy most things in life. I do not hesitate to break the rules when it suits me, if it respects my personal code of honour. I have been accused of being overdramatic, but this is because people do not understand what I am feeling. I try to do things according to ethical and moral principles. I criticise myself a lot internally if I am not able to do so. When I have free time, I often choose to use it to help someone else. My emotions fluctuate between highs and lows, and I don't feel very alive when I am in between. I often lose myself in my own dreams and fantasies. I enjoy maintaining pleasant and comfortable routines. Halfway there. Take another quick breather, just to clear that mind. How's it going? Any of those questions really confuse you? Anything you weren't sure of? Anything you had to think hard about? Did you see yourself absolutely in any of those? Ready for page 3? Great. Okay. So once again, on that scale of 1 to 5, I have a lot more difficulty expressing what I feel than sharing my theories, concepts, and analyses. I like to have and exercise power. I often try to help those who are more serious to relax and laugh more. I am often bothered as things are not as they should ethically be. The vast majority of the time, I'm the one deciding what we're going to do when I'm with friends or a partner. I look to have fun and I am generally very attracted by new experiences. I tend to prioritise and place much more importance on other people's satisfaction than my own. Success is important to me. I accept others as they are, avoid judging them, and often adapt to them in order to maintain a peaceful atmosphere. I accept others as they are, avoid judging them, and often adapt to them in order to maintain a peaceful atmosphere. I often find beauty in weird, strange, and unusual things. I have strong self-control, and I feel the need to live with integrity according to moral principles. I need a lot of alone time to unwind. I tend to imagine the worst case scenario and mentally prepare myself for it. I am often skeptical about the hidden intentions of others. I'm protective and very loyal, but if you betray me, I can become ruthless and avenge myself. I often sit back and observe others rather than getting involved. I am very personable, and I find it easy to adapt to new people who I meet. I am very wary of others and tend to put their loyalty to the test. Another long one, which I'll repeat. I tend to avoid making long-term commitments, even when they interest me, for the main reason that I don't want to miss out on other possible experiences. So again, I tend to avoid making long-term commitments, even when they interest me, for the main reason that I don't want to miss out on other possible experiences. I tend to make things interesting, enjoyable, and more fun. Wonderful. 3/4 of the way there. A few more questions. Take a quick break, and then I'll tell you what we're going to do next. Any surprises in that set of questions? Okay, so on that scale of 1 to 5 once more, I tend to detect errors down to the very last detail. I'll start that again. I'm putting in words where there aren't any. Apologies. I tend to detect errors down to the last detail and to be tempted to correct them, even when they are not my own. I have an adaptable and sociable nature, and find it easy to join the social circles that I would like to be a part of. I am very sensitive, and I often express this sensitivity through an art-related activity, writing, painting, something like that. I minimise my physical and emotional needs to preserve my personal autonomy. I have a very patient and tolerant nature, and it takes a lot to disappoint me. I am very good at regulating my impulses, emotions and desires, which makes me more self-disciplined and stable than most people. I am very knowledgeable, and I can be competent, but I'm not really sociable, and I usually struggle with relationships. I would rather satisfy another person's needs than satisfy my own needs. I love spending time doing things for another person and making sure they are comfortable and satisfied. And I like it better when I'm the one doing it more often than the other person. I'll read that one again. I love spending time doing things for another person and making sure they are comfortable and satisfied. And I like it better when I'm the one doing it more than the other person. I naturally feel what others are missing, and I have the desire to fill that gap. If it were possible, I could very well spend the day resting and doing nothing. Couldn't we all? I feel that I am very different and feel things in a deeper way compared to others. Two more questions. Because I am very tolerant and accepting of others as they are in relationships, even those that are important to me, I tend to let things happen and have very few expectations. I'll read that one again. Because I am very tolerant and accepting of others as they are in relationships, even those that are important to me, I tend to let things happen and have very few expectations. Final question. Another long one. Statement, I should say. Another long one, but I'll read it twice. I spend a lot of my free time, instead of doing other things, studying and learning new things of all kinds, and all this for the main reason of accumulating even more knowledge, which often won't even be useful in practice. I spend a lot of my free time, instead of doing other things, studying and learning new things of all kinds, and all this for the main reason of accumulating even more knowledge, which often won't even be useful in practice. Fantastic. Well, that's all of my questions. Just let me put that down there so I can show you this diagram again. So, this is the diagram where everything now gets plotted. Your answers will come together and you'll be given a number. And to supplement that information, we also look at which number either side you lean more towards. If you're a number 1, for example, you might be number 1 with traits of 2 or 9. But I won't know that until I've analysed those results. Before then, though, what I'd like to do is just read out to you the 9 different types of Enneagram. There's only a sentence about each, but I thought you might find it interesting. Let's put it on my clipboard, and hopefully you might see yourself in one of these. So if you come back as type 1, you are a perfectionist who avoids internal anger at all costs, is guided by morality and ethics, have a critical voice in your head, and strive to avoid mistakes that could question their competence and trustworthiness. Type 2 are the helpers. They avoid acknowledging their own needs and prefer giving over receiving. They do everything to be loved by the important people in their lives, avoiding disappointment. Type 3 are the chameleons who avoid failure. Do everything to avoid unproductivity, inactivity, mediocrity, and a poor appearance. Type 4 are the dreamers. Dreamers avoid the banal. They strive to avoid feeling rejected, insignificant, misunderstood, and inauthentic. Type 5 are the investigators who avoid inner emptiness by continually seeking knowledge. They strive to avoid strong feelings, especially fear, intrusive people, and action without sufficient thought. Type 6 are loyalists who avoid deviance and strive to avoid ambiguity in ideas, relationships, and question anything unproven. Type 7 are the adventurers who avoid inner suffering and do everything to avoid sadness, emotional pain, frustration, limitations, constraints, and boredom. Type 8 are the leaders who avoid weaknesses. They strive to avoid being weak, vulnerable, dependent on others, unjust rules, and being controlled or manipulated. And finally, type 9 are the peacemakers who avoid conflicts. They strive to avoid confrontations, expressing too many demands, and losing their peace of mind. That's all 9. Do you recognise yourself in any of those? Do you think you might be surprised at what your results come back with? Well, we shall find out. In the meantime, thank you so much for coming here today and taking part in this personality test. I appreciate that it was an awful lot of questions, so thank you for your patience and thank you for answering thoughtfully and honestly, because that is how you get the best results. Once I've had a look at all those answers and analysed them, I'll send you that report which will tell you where you sit on the Enneagram and give you more insight into not only who you are as a person, but how you can interact better with others. Do you have any questions for me? Great. In that case, I will go away and start on this report, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Take care.